Okay. Racket number one, nearly 1/3 of sellers are using spy cams during showings. Now, before we get into, I think this was a bank rate article.
But we got it through Realtor Magazine.
No, this is LendingTree, not bank rate.
Yep.
So survey. Realtor Magazine has it, and Inman will link both of those articles up that cover this LendingTree study, okay? And this was more than 2,000 consumers. Before we get into that, our state of Connecticut,
yes,
in the listing, and if your state does the same, I'd love to hear in the comments. In the listing agreement, you have to check off, and the seller has to actually initial.
Right.
Recording. If they have a recording device.
Right.
In the home.
Right.
So you have to have that conversation with the seller.
And then you have to disclose it, though, in the listing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's in our state. Love to hear from you in the comments if you have to do that in your state.
It's interesting, though, because I guarantee you I've been to homes that, because even like the Ring cameras on the outside of the home, that is a recording device.
Yeah. So there's lots of recording devices. Technically, I mean, Alexa's recording everything that you do. I don't think they consider that the Alexa Echo Dots.
No, because if you go back onto all of your recordeds for Alexa, though, it's really just the things that you asked.
Yeah. Okay. Supposedly. 3 in 10 home sellers say they've used a hidden camera during an open house or showing at their home, according to this LendingTree study of more than 2,000 consumers. The most common reason cited by nearly half of those who provided reasons is to understand what home buyers do and do not like about the home. So 49%, and Bobby, let's just put this chart up and leave the chart
up. Great chart.
Mm-hmm. It is a great chart. LendingTree. So Realtor had the chart, and Inman didn't.
Inman did a different spin.
They link up to the LendingTree study, though, so you can go there and check the whole thing out. So to understand what buyers do and do not like, so that they could make the needed changes. They want to hear it directly from the source, not through the agent.
Right.
Okay, so this is like...
Well, the problem is, though, sometimes, though, you're not necessarily given that information.
The agent might not have the right feedback if they're not there.
The listing agent hasn't heard anything, or maybe the buyer's agent didn't give feedback.
And sellers, they want to know what's going on. This speaks to what Zillow's been saying for years. The buyers, the sellers, they want more control of the transaction. This would be an example of that. 49% of sellers said that was their number one reason. Number two reason, 36% of sellers said to gather information that would be useful during negotiations. So to be strategic. Yikes. If Nicole goes in there and she's a buyer and she says, I love this house. Oh my God, we got to have it.
We can afford over list, but let's go under. Like,
yeah, we're definitely getting them to pay full price.
Right.
So using it in that scenario. Number three reason, to ensure my home is safe during showings. 31% of sellers said that, to just ensure the safety, make sure maybe nothing is getting stolen.
Right. So in my mind, I feel like you would use the footage if something was like, you would revert back to it.
But listen, Nicole, in your experience, and I've experienced this so many times with sellers and listings, did you have a showing?
Yes.
And then talk to the seller and they're like, oh my gosh, I was watching. This person said this. This person said that. Have you ever had sellers that do that? I've never had that?
Never.
I've had so many sellers like, Byron, they said this. I was listening to their conversation.
The only time that anyone has ever brought up a video was there was one time an agent went with their client. They also happened to be friends. And what they did was they ended up sitting on the couch and they started like chatting for like an hour.
And they're like, why are they not leaving my house?
Well, my client was like, Nicole, buyers went in without their agent. There are people sitting on my couch right now.
That's a big deal.
But obviously it was the agent. They happened to be, that was the only time that I've ever gotten a call where I was like, I'm not understanding.
But this is why people want to watch. It's their home. They've got all their personal items. They've been there for many years. Home has a certain feeling,
of course,
to it. And if someone's just going to sit on the couch, maybe make a sandwich.
Well, we had another situation recently though too, where actually the tenant was occupying a unit we had on the market, and she happened to see the buyer put her scratch her butt. Remember?
Oh, you told me that one.
And
yeah.
And the tenant freaked out.
Oh no! So I actually saw the video.
I saw the video too. Yeah. Shut down the showings.
So no.
Would never let buyers in again.
That was the listing agent or the seller that was upset about the butt scratch, right?
The tenant.
Oh, the tenant was
She
watching.
was the tenant.
The tenant had the recording device.
Yes. Yes.
That's interesting because if you have a tenant in there, who's to say the tenant doesn't have a recording device? The seller has to sign off on the recording device, but they don't maybe know what's in there.
But the listing agent still needs to disclose that they're being recorded.
I remember the scenario that you're talking about. That wasn't just a butt scratch. That was a total.
It was down the pant.
That was a total like.
It was down, and then it was and then she kept it there
60 seconds or more because then
she walked around with her
she walked around. She had her hand,
in
her pants, just walking around for an extended period of time.
Yes, in rooms, out of rooms.
I don't know. Maybe left a phone in the under. I don't know.
A phone? No, there was no phone in there.
All right,
there was no. I hope there wasn't a phone in there.
Number 4 reason: 23% of sellers said to see what my real estate agent is saying about the home.
I bet you it's more than that.
How is my agent pitching the home? Are they talking about the fireplace that I had custom built?
Are they actually showing up backyard? When they say that they were gonna?
There? Are they present? I told them and I showed my agent exactly what to say, how to explain what was built. Are they explaining it the way I want them to? Are they mentioning that the irrigation system in the back is top of the line? Are they mentioning what you can't see?
That sounds pretty specific. Did you have that issue?
Because sellers get very specific.
Yeah.
Are they mentioning how much and what type of insulation
oh my Lord.
I have behind my walls?
Yeah.
I mean, this is where sellers go, right? Because they think the insulation is going to push them over the top sometimes. So are they having that conversation? I shared all this information with you, the listing agent, for a reason. Are you sharing that?
Right.
And are you actually doing a great job selling the property?
Are you showing up?
There are a lot of sellers that believe the value of a great listing agent is the presentation at the property, how they're pitching the property, how they're showing it, how they're making buyers feel. And if they're having a lackluster experience, hey, just walk around, I don't want that agent maybe if I'm a seller and I really believe in the presentation. Or maybe that's why I hired them.
Right.
Number 5 reason. I just always have the cameras on for security purposes. So safety was number 3, 31%. 10% says I always have it on for security.
Right.
So you could almost cluster those two together, and that's a big reason.
Like though the 10% though are the ones, again, like what I was saying, like it's just always running, and if something happens, like they're resorting back to it. I would like to think that those 10% are not I mean, would you sit and watch showings at your house? I don't know that I would.
I wouldn't, but I also know how many people do. I think this number is low, by the way. 3 out of 10.
They only interviewed 2,000 people.
I think it's low. I think more people do it. And the people that do it, they are more glued to that screen than they are on the new Netflix show. This is like, they are not taking their eyeballs off of this until the showing's over. There's a lot of people like that. I can see why they are. Would I?
I wonder if it was more though during COVID,
I got to tell you though.
I didn't go inside to all showings. If I got to
tell you that,
somewhere.
I mean, the homes that I've sold, I've been the agent.
Yeah.
And I do want to be at the showing, unless I know the agent, then I let him in on a lockbox. But
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. You're at showings as a listing agent
of my own personal house.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a weird thing because I do believe in the lockbox, and I've obviously I'll let agents in that.
Wait, you went to all of your showings when you sold your home?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Really?
The one that bought it?
Yeah.
Her buyer agent couldn't be there. So she said, "Hey, Byron, do you mind?" I said, "Yeah, no problem."
I understand that. Then you have to be there.
So I showed it to the buyer, and what do you know? She bought it. There is.
I did the complete opposite. I was like, I don't want to. I'm out.
Like if you don't have a great buyer agent, the buyer doesn't. There is something to having a powerful listing agent 100%. Sell the property.
Agreed.
To the buyer and getting them to take action and writing an offer.
Have to. Well, especially if it's an agent that isn't local. I found that to be the most important because there's so many agents that aren't local and so many people are moving here from out of state where they're like, is there a downtown green? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, excuse me. I'm sorry.
We had also recently gutted that house. And so,
so you wanted to talk about the insulation?
I want to talk about the insulation.
And the irrigation in the backyard? Yeah.
All right. I didn't have irrigation, but there was things that a buyer agent wouldn't have been able to explain. Like, hey, for example, we just went through the process of splitting the backyard. Now you can take action on splitting it and buy that separately. It's ready to go. It's ready to be split.
Right.
Or you can buy it and keep it all as one. But explaining those kind of things is some value there too. Okay. So on the flip side though, Nicole.
Yes.
Buyers, more than a quarter or 29% of the buyers who use a real estate agent for their home purchase said their agent warned them a hidden camera could be used during a home show. And so you have 30% and 29%.
Well, I walk in and
it sounds like
I look.
Sounds like most people are aware
that
that's going on. Despite the use of the surveillance cameras, though, 56% of consumers said it doesn't make them want to back out of the deal or purchase their dream home, even if they know that the seller is listening in or watching the showing. The remaining 44% said, however, that they would not buy the home if they felt spied on.
Ugh. That's ridiculous.
That's a loser mentality. I agree.
Are you kidding me? This is like real shit.
Majority of buyers feel that the use of a spy camera during shows is an invasion of their privacy.
Oh, my Lord. Clearly, that buyer's agent did not do a good job. We're talking about the same buyer's agent that is not living in the same town and is literally just opening the door. They're just opening the door.
32% of more than the 2,000 consumer survey said they'd consider using a hidden camera during a future home selling process. And Gen Zers, ages 18 to 24, are the most likely at 41%, while only 1 in 5 baby boomers, 56 to 75, said they would use a camera in their next sale.
I feel like my dad is using a camera more than like a 22-year-old.
I know.
Do 22-year-olds even own the
No,
homes?
they don't. So I think they're just.
But my dad, I mean, he likes it on his phone. He's got cameras in the front and the back. He's like, look at the coyote. I'm like, I don't care about the coyote. Like. Yeah. That's the annoying part too. That happens with my mom has a Ring camera and the thing bleeps at her. And I'm like, just can you turn it like the notification off? Like you got mailmen, like you're on a busy road, like it's your phone's blowing up.
Security cameras for sellers, racket, not a racket. What's your overall take?
I guess I don't like the idea of them spying on the showing, but I mean, sellers are allowed to do.
You don't like the idea
what they want. Well, I guess I just don't understand it. Like, trust the process.
But this goes back to, I mean, when I bring a buyer into a home, knowing that the listing agent was there before this was really, happening all the time. Yeah. I'd say to the buyers before when we're in the driveway, hey, you're better off just putting on a poker face and really saying nothing about the home till we get out. If you have a question, 100%. Ask the question.
Well, that's the biggest thing. I said the listing agent is here. Yeah, I mean, I guess put on the poker face, but like ask every single question now because they're here to answer all. Like that's why they're here.
And if you want to comment on something, comment more on what you don't like, not what you like.
Well, yeah, that kind of gets annoying though too, because then like
don't make it a theme.
Because then you're like, well, clearly you like the house because now you're trying to make it look ridiculous and then you put in an offer and I'll say to the agent, like, it didn't even sound like they liked the house. Like this is ridiculous.
If there's something obvious like, I hate how that jacuzzi tub takes up 50% of the master bath. That's just a little bit disappointing. That could be a good thing to point out.
The whole thing is exhausting. Let the people go through your home. Let them feel it. Let them experience it. It's the same reason why you take all of your personal photos off of the wall because you want them to be in there. Experiencing their experience, so they buy it.
I think like what we do in our state, disclose it up front, and I'd love to hear in the comments if your state does the same thing. Disclose it up front, and then the buyer's got to make the decision. Hey. How much am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to do?
Baby cams too. I feel like I see baby cams more than I don't.
But ultimately,
I never watch my kids sleep. Do you watch your kids sleep?
No. But ultimately, you're buying somebody else's home. It's their home. So you got to play by the rules.
I hear you.
Okay.
But you're trying to sell your home.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is still their home. Agreed. They don't have to sell it.
Agreed.